Hello and welcome to our millions of viewers here in Nigeria, the continent and all around the world. This is the Morning Brief and we are live from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. I am Kelly Egiga.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzama. As always, we're bringing you up to speed with the big happenings in our country this period. Literally every other day, something is happening. Our responsibility is to bring you up to speed, whether it's happening in the north or the south or somewhere in between all of that, or even on the international scene. That's our simple responsibilities. 2 days down the line, 25th of November is here. So we're just exactly 1 month away from the Yuletide, the peak of the Yuletide, the Christmas season. But I do not know how the Christmas season is going to be for a lot of people because of what is playing out in our country. There seem to be lots of anxieties and worries and all of that, rightly so. And our job is to make sure that we help you make sense of it as far as national issues are concerned. Kelly, what are you tracking?
Well, Jeff, I mean, you can always trust Nigerians to generate a lot of big stories. Perhaps we should begin with the big one for the opposition party, the ADC. It's official. 17 months to the 2027 general elections, and Nigeria's former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, has officially joined and registered as a member of the ADC. He disclosed this, of course, in his official X handle. He himself actually said it's official. So it's official. He's now a member of that party, and it does lay to rest, you know, perhaps some of the speculations surrounding the party and the leadership of that party as well. You know, some would wonder perhaps why Mr. Vice President or former Vice President has had to move, has had to move. The old APC, or just before it became APC, and then APC, PDP, back to APC, and now the ADC. At some point, I think the SDP as well, just before there were some sort of issues and all of that. So we see him there and making it official. He is 78 now, so by 2027, he should be 80 years old. If he wins, he will be Nigeria's president at 80. And that means that if he does 4 years, and trust Nigerian politicians to always do 8 years, so he'll be 88 when he's done with the presidency, if that gets to work. But it's official, and I wonder perhaps where this leaves the likes of Labour Party presidential candidates in the last presidential elections, Mr. Peter Obi, because we're not sure exactly where he stands as things appear right now. Is he going to come back and officially join the ADC as well? Is he going to become vice president to Atiku Abubakar, a vice presidential candidate, and all of that? So in the coming weeks, I'm sure it's going to be really very interesting as developments unfold. So that's official. Atiku Abubakar, ADC, perhaps a marriage made in heaven, some would say.
We've seen this before, over and over. For the Gen Zs who may not know, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has been trying to be president for a very long time, as far back as 1993.
He's been consistent.
Yeah, so 1993, he ran under the SDP to get the nomination of the party, but I was beaten by MK Abiola. There were three of them, MK Abiola, Babagana Kingibe, and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He came third in that whole exercise. And eventually, so as far back as over 30-something years ago, that should be approximately 32 years, he's been trying to be president. He's eventually became the vice president under Olusegun Obasanjo for 8 years. Of course, we know how that ended because of his ambition. And they fought tooth and nail. And well, here we are again, still the same old guards, in the game. Well, let's see how long this will last. But we wish him the very best. Yeah. For some of us who are following this particular space, all we need is a robust opposition to stand up to the APC. I always say that I personally want all parties to succeed. APC, PDP, Labour, NMPP, the other parties, YPP, all of them, as much as can be able to stand. So that Nigerians at every point in time, the ideal of democracy is the beauty or the luxury of choice. We cannot be boxed into one choice, and that is what we're seeing right now. no matter how beautiful or how ugly it is, we must always have at least two to pick from. So is the ADC that one? We do not know. So in the coming days, we will see. Apparently, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, knowing his history, he will want to be president. So we can, he has never gone into a party just to be a member. Knowing his history, he will want to be president. Mr. Peter Obi wants to be president. Rotimi Chibike Amechi wants to be president. I'm talking about those who have, shown interest. The president wants to be re-elected.
Of course.
So I don't know how long we are going to be dealing with the old guard and the old men with the greatest sense of respect. Our neighbors here in not Ghana. Cameroon, their case is more abysmal than ours. Paul Biya, 92. He's gotten an eighth term for 7 years, so he's going to be almost 100. I don't know who did this to us. He's Senate president, I think he's also in that region. In fact, the key leaders of Cameroon are all in their 80s and their 90s. I think the youngest maybe late 70 or 79 or 81 or so. And we can go Equatorial Guinea, we can go to Museveni. I can go on and on. A young continent obsessed with old men leading them. I do not know what is going on and when this tide will change. That's why something looks like the West don't take us seriously. But some people say age is not a problem, capacity matters. We know how. Anyway, let's leave that for another day. I don't even want to go. I get tired talking about some of these things that we can fix. But for the records, it's within their rights. Whether you're 105 years old, if you feel you have the capacity and the strength to run, Nigeria is not an easy country to manage. Let nobody deceive you. Nigeria is not easy to manage. It's complex. The heterogeneous situation of our country makes it very complex. But I also want to bring to the fore that there's a meeting that happened yesterday in Ibadan, where the six Southwest governors across party lines came up without their meeting at the Dewan Commission, and that's what it's called, where they came up with far-reaching decisions. And one of those decisions has to be that, look, I think what is playing out right now, state police is as urgent as yesterday. But the constitutional process of getting state police, why they do the amendment, the National Assembly will do their voting. After that voting, it will go to the state houses of assembly, and there's a percentage as to be able to pass to become. So it's not a fiat in terms of the president can just wake up and say, let there be state police, and there will be state police. It doesn't work that way. But they are saying whatever can be expedited, because they are complaining that some of these bandits and all of that have literally taken over the forests in their regions, and that is not acceptable. So they made far-reaching decision, including Southwest Regional Security Fund to be able to fund security issues in the region, Joint Security Intelligence Sharing and Communication Platform, forest surveillance, which has to do with all of the NSCDCs, because they say these places. Let me read what they wrote there. They say the governors reaffirmed their collective commitment to reclaiming the forest. So even governors have said that we've been overrun in our forests, and ensuring that these spaces no longer serve as safe corridors for banditry, kidnapping, and any form of criminality. They also talked about interstate migration. They talked about illegal mining activities, state police, agriculture, food security, and climate resilience, the Southwest Development Commission, and all of that. So these were some of the outcome of what played out yesterday in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where the Southwest modeling it for all of us to say, look, whether we are PDP, APC, whatever the name of our political party is, we close those ranks and we are about our people. We want to protect our people, and state police has to be as urgent as possible. And so I think we totally agree with them on this. So we'll continue to follow up, but let's tell you exactly what we're doing today on the program. We've told you we're mainstreaming national security big time this week. And of course, we're going to get started with national security as far as issues are concerned today on the program. And we'd like to hear from all sides. It's a big conversation today. We're going to be joined by Sheikh Gumi, who's going to be on the program to talk about the issue of mass abductions and killings today on the program. It's about national security. So we'll get to hear his thoughts. I'm sure you've heard him over and over again. So yet again, We had that conversation with him. And then move from there. We're going to be speaking with the former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Mr. Dewan, who has been very vocal about what these people have gone through. If you go to Berikin Ladi, Mangu, and several other communities and local government, there are so many things that have happened. I remember that Christmas Eve attack and massacre that happened on the plateau. So he'll be joining us afterwards to talk about the issue of safe schools and northern Nigeria and all of that. And then we'll be joined by a lawyer who is going to be looking at the legalese around all of this, justice system and national security. So it's a big conversation. Ibe Effiong will be here with us as well. So it's a good time to be on the program, and that's the outlook for us, for you today on the program. But first, we'll take a break and we'll be back to bring you the dailies in just a moment. Mr. Wale Fatade joins us on the program. Always a delight. Commissioning editor of the Conversation Africa. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Jeff and Ken, our first time together. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, viewers.
As always, let's start with what is happening in your region, which is the Southwest region. I know you have a lot of comments, and there's a lot that has happened in our country. Like every other day you wake up, there's one depressing story or the other. But that's what me and you signed up for.
Oh, yeah. And that's why PTSD is real with journalists.
Yeah, I think sometimes we need to get our mental health.
We should.
Because
it's real with us.
Some people have the luxury of saying, I don't like watching TV. TV's our work.
And I tell them, if you don't watch, then that means very soon me that you know might be out of job. So if you don't listen to news or you don't watch news.
All right, let's go to the This Nigeria. This Nigeria is our first paper. Southwest governors to federal government. State police can no longer wait. Governors raise alarm over a criminal takeover of regional forest. Southwest governors to FG. State police can no longer wait. Governors raise alarm over a criminal takeover of regional forest. What do you make of this story?
Well, the symbolism of that meeting is not lost on me. Coming a day or 2 days after Sheikh Gumi left Ibadan. You know, and I'm
interesting. He's going to be our next.
Yeah, I'm happy that he's here. Someone for me who is a person of interest, as security agents will say. And so, but at another level, even though the situation we are in now should make us rise above the bifurcation or the dichotomy of us versus them, but for Southwest, there are 6 states. 4 of those states are under the purview of APC governors. So the statement that you read out, you know, I listened to that, shows that at a certain level they are admitting that the APC government at the center had failed. And the other question you asked about, the senators from our Southwest, the House of Reps member, how many of them are in the forefront of state police agitation? Part of what the APC campaigned about was their state police. Now, it's nearly 3 years. Yeah, when you have 2 years and a half, that's almost 3 years. May 29, 2023. How come, why did we wait until now? But be that as it may, it's important enough now, and it's heartwarming that our governors have come to recognize the fact that, look, we sink together or we swim ashore together, and that's important. So if they are putting their money where their worth is, and I think this moment one must pay tribute to the memory of the late Ekweremadu, who drove the Amotekun initiative, which to a large extent has helped in Southwest.
You know, when I read the statement, I was like, okay, it's like something is drawn here.
Oh, the day is broken. And what does that say? Hope does spring eternal. So eventually, they know that we are in a big mess.
Because especially, I would like you to speak to the part where they talked about those forests, literally been overrun, putting it in my own
language. What have they been looking at? What have they been doing?
Taken over by bandits, kidnappers.
Until Trump threatened to invade Nigeria. Why were they not talking about that? Those of us who have been shouting about that, those of us who have been complaining that things are happening in the Southwest, we were always shouted down. And it's as if that my terrorists are better than yours, or what kind of situation are we in? It's glaring now that our situation transcends party boundaries now. And a huge mess.
All right. It's interesting because now that the Southwest governors have met, I understand that the Northern governors are also planning to meet.
Oh yeah, I listened to that on the radio as I was coming there. Yeah.
They're going to meet this Saturday as well. I mean, this is not the first time they've had that meeting. I know I've covered one in 2019. It's like whenever there's elections or pre-election year, they always get to meet. So sometimes it begs the question if this is just about politics and all of that. But let's head on and just stay with security. But this time, the leadership, which leads with the happenings in Kebbi states, alleged troop withdrawal before abduction, reactions as Kebbi governor asked National Assembly to probe military, and there have been questions really begging for answers as to who exactly gave the order that the military should be withdrawn from that school just before the attack was carried out. And this perhaps paints a picture of what we have had to go through, issues around compromise, about the fact that it looks like there is a mole somewhere inside the military that for every time we see these things happen. The Brigadier General who was killed recently, we hear was ambushed as well. So, who exactly gave the order, Mr. Saturday?
I like that. I wish I have the answer. But I think, Ken, with due respect, it's not just a mole, there are moles. Remember, and that's part of what is losing, or what is missing rather, in our reporter given as journalists. Similar scenario played out in Chibok. That the president there, President Jonathan, said that, I mean, his aides then said that there was an order to withdraw. They knew those things, those people were coming. That's why they said the school certificate exam should be suspended whatever. Yeah. So it's similar now. And the governor has been shouting, and by the way, I think I first watched him on your station last week, one night, either the second night or the night of the attack, that was his comment. It was in the blue agbada, I remember, Babangriga, I remember very well. And so, even if the National Assembly is not a problem, the military authorities have been silent. I thought our colleagues covering defense, the defense reporter, should have put that question to the defense spokesperson, Major General, I can't remember his name now. Ask that question. Who exactly gave this order? Was it not, or is it not real? Is it not happening? And that's important. And there's another thing we need to, I think last week again, the President Tinubu met with the Chief of Army Staff and with the service chiefs. Yeah. And that's wrong. We did not see the Chief of Defense Staff there. And so, you see, if we want to follow the kind of structure, the President is the Commander-in-Chief. When service chiefs are meeting with the President, they might tend to be loyal to him, not to the state. And I'm speaking of the nation state now. And so, the interface between the service chief should be with the Chief of Defense Staff there. And by the way, where was the Minister of Defense? So those are issues. I mean, there are many layers we need to sift through, we need to separate through. There could have been sabotage. And we need to shed more light on that area.
Do you think we're honest as a people with this issue?
Who are we?
I mean,
as a country,
as a collective.
Oh, we are not. We are not. Oh, we are not. No. The answer is no. We are not. The answer is no. Look at the memo that was issued. That some federal government colleges should be closed down. The Ministry of Education came out denying the memo, but yet we've seen visuals or footage of students being withdrawn from those schools. So who is lying to who? I mean, we saw the federal government college, is it Buhari or Kwali, that people are withdrawing their children. I mean, the pictures were there in the papers yesterday. And yet the government, and so the leaders have serially lied to us. And so people have come to not even believe whatever the leaders say. And that's so significant in the fight against terror now.
The reason I asked that question is as a follow-up for what, I think it's a New Telegraph now. When we're looking at this, as far as this is concerned. Now, there's something the New Telegraph, at the bottom of the New Telegraph, is reading with. It says, education suffering political, bandits attack. Education suffering political, bandits attack. That's according to ASO. And I'm interested in the writer. I say, As crucial talks with FG begin, workers' rights undermined under intensive coordinated assault, Nigeria's education in the throes of insecurity. So how did we get to a point where going to school is a risk?
It's a risk.
Not for university students, first time. It used to be
for elementary school
for
students.
children.
Yeah, elementary
because
school students.
These days I see all kinds of, permit me to use the word, ludicrous things. When I was in uni, a policeman can come into my school. You cannot.
We fought that.
You cannot come into my
I was
university.
an undergraduate under military rule. We fought that massively.
You cannot enter my school.
And people were actually rusticated. I remember in University of Ibadan, 1990 or 91 now, for throwing flip-flops, bathroom slippers at the president, Babangida then, who came on the head of state, who came to our campus.
I said that to say because there's a way we manage our own thing.
Yeah.
But now, primary school children are being kidnapped.
And you know, that
How
comes,
did we get here?
that comes, we should not lose sight of our indicators. We have one of the worst and highest rate of out-of-school children. We have one of the worst rate whereby the girl child is not attending school, and yet we are closing school. And I was just imagining when that thing broke that. As a younger person, as a child, as a kid, I used to suffer from a bout of malaria attack. No thanks to my blood genotype AA. But you could not keep me away from school. You could not. I would still struggle. I mean, my parents were teachers. Thank God for them. But you could not, while they just sleep. I said, no, I must be in school. Even though I might end up coming back home at 10 a.m. or 10:30, but I want to go to school. I mean, you could imagine a lifetime opportunity or denial that we are making or we are giving to these children now. And so, in some of these reasons, some of these things that will later result in child marriage, because there's nothing left for the children to do.
Interesting. Okay, I think we'll see with that paper. Okay.
I'm just going to ask, I mean, this issue of the military and compromise and all of that. So we have changed service chiefs over and over again, and yet we still see that we have informants in the military.
What does that tell you, Ken?
So I'm wondering, so how do we now fix
it tells us
this?
that the change of service chief is not the solution. And so until a problem is solved, you keep on finding other solutions. But you see, I mean, look
how do we solve this challenge now? Because it looks like we're just going to go around in circles. And that's what's played out.
The competence of people that are managing our defense sector. Are they really the best hands? You guys are future of the plethora of generals who, when they speak, you know they understand what they are saying. They know what they are saying. Why is our country not utilizing them? Across the different service. Army, Navy, Air Force, you have brought them here, different programs on channels alone, not to talk of what other colleagues are doing in other stations. So why is our government not utilizing them? Now, the present defense minister, who are his contacts outside Nigeria, who can he speak with? Does he understand the defense industry? Does he understand the defense sector? Have we never asked ourselves whether it's a Republican in White House or a Democrat, they always appoint Republican members as Secretary of Defense? And to be somebody who has been following that in sector, who has been following that, whether from the intelligence section or from the service section. So why are we not like that?
Are you saying that President Bola Tinubu sacrificed an essential part of our life, which is security, on the altar of politics? Because Bello Matawalle, for instance, with the greatest sense of respect, we know how his leadership was.
The answer is blowing in the wind. The scorecard is what we have here. That's all. I mean, when you are out of your depth, there's nothing you can do. I mean, look at we had this Sahelian Forces Joint Task Force, which because of our ECOWAS issue, we dismembered or we truncated ourselves. A wise person or somebody who can foresee evil will recognize that, look, in as much as we are the leader of ECOWAS or the president that time, we should be careful in driving this. We need the support of Mali, of Niger, of Chad, all of them because of the Sahelian problems. But no, we broke our alliance with them. So the kind of interagency collaboration, inter-country collaboration, we lost that. And a lot has been read, has been written and said about this. Is our government listening?
The question too around
our rules started leaking a long time ago.
Mr. Fatade, there are those who think that this is like a trend or a pattern. Pre-election year or 2 years to elections, we always see this heightened pressure on governance or governments or the president and all of that is government at the center. They believe that it's a political thing where just before an election year, you know, we always see that pressure.
The tension is raised, or the tension is stoked.
The temperature is high.
The temperature is high.
Yes.
But then I pray, and I'm praying sincerely, that there will be Nigeria by 2027. the way we are going. If we don't know that fire is at the door, or our roof is leaking, or our house is on fire.
So this sounds different. It's not.
Oh, you know, there are those who
well.
think Nigeria will always come back from the brink of precipice, and we are just gifted with, we are like that cat with 9 lives. We will recover. But I really hope so, because if our government will not rise up, I know that it's not time for politics. It's time for decisive action.
Okay, let's start with the New Telegraph. Maybe we'll talk about it again. But there's another just below the nameplate there. UK rejects FG's request to transfer Ekweremadu to Nigeria. UK rejects FG's request to transfer Ekweremadu to Nigeria. Was convicted of what we know he was convicted, and now we saw an attempt to bring him back. Why do you think Nigeria is interested in bringing him back?
As a father,
why is the federal government interested in bringing Ekweremadu back?
As a father, my heart goes to Ekweremadu.
To him, yeah.
As a father, I mean, I'm emotional when it comes to my children, and I would go to any length, but I recognize I must stay within the ambit of the law. I mean, we have little diplomatic capital left globally. So the little we have, we are still expending on that. Excuse me, what is the importance of Mr. Ekweremadu to where we are as a country now? Is he the only Igbo leader that the president can deal with? And I mean, when the news actually broke, I remember I was outside Lagos. As I was driving and I was listening to the radio, I was like, it's not true. I really thought it was one of these kind of Iroyin Eleje, as the Yoruba people will say, rumor. And I actually felt that. So there was a diplomatic movement, there was a diplomatic vestige or imprimatur on that visit. I mean, the UK does not run on sentiments. Their laws are very clear. You serve your time when you do the crime, and that's all. A former governor, James Ibori, once he finished his time, what happened? And so it was just a waste of taxpayers' money, and I think that should be refunded. And we expended precious and dwindling diplomatic capital. This time, when we need all the world on our side, is somebody that was convicted for a crime, duly convicted. We are not talking about the conviction. We are not talking about the process was manipulated. We all agree that the process was as fair and as strict as possible. Come on.
Maybe Nigeria has decided to finally wake up and look out for its citizens. Don't you think?
So Ekweremadu is the only person. What about people that are dying on the Mediterranean Sea? What about people that are dying in the canal between France and Britain? Is it the French canal, whatever they call it? I mean, what about that? What about the millions of our citizens that are still going through the desert to leave Nigeria?
Just maybe in a minute or less, I'd like you to just speak to this because it's also trending. Staying with the New Telegraph, Akpabio unveils Counterterrorism Strategic Plan 2025 to 2030, and so we saw this last night. The 5-year strategic plan to tackle issues around insecurity and all of that. Again, you think the response from the US is what has made our leaders to change?
No, I don't think that I'm sure that plan must have been on before. I want to believe that it should not have been.
But will this what does this portend for Nigeria? Because this appears more like a cosmetic and political solution rather than something.
Money will show the day. So when we see it working, we will know that the plan is worth it. But until people can walk safely, until children, as we have said, can go to their schools in different parts of Nigeria, until Boko Haram is not winning as they are winning now, until people do not come on social media with military fatigue, camouflage dressing, and with guns or machine guns dangling, with the bullets dangling on their shoulder, and telling us there's nothing you can do to us, then we will know there's a plan.
Mr. Fatade, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Always a delight.
Thank you.
Mr. Wale Fatade is the commissioning editor of The Conversation Africa. Thank you, sir. You need to come more regularly. We can't be giving you this fortnight.
We can always talk about that later. We can always talk about that later.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back after the break, we're talking national security. Sheikh Gumi, an Islamic cleric, will be joining us in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's bring in our guest. Sheikh Gumi is an Islamic cleric. He joins us virtually. Sheikh, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to, there's a way I wanted to start, but given the comment made by just our previous guest, maybe we'll kick off from there. He said, of course, we did the highlights showing that you're coming on the program. He says, in his view, as far as he's concerned, you're a person of interest. How would you respond when you hear those kind of things about your person?
I don't know in Nigeria who's not a person of interest. One way or the others, they find people liking or in everything. So my stand on issues, on national issues, really should be of interest to everybody who wants peace to prevail in Nigeria. I'm just looking at the way how we can achieve peace without letting blood or bloodshed. That's my mission. And I think many people are understanding it now, and some governments are even implementing it, and we're getting results. You see, I'm in Kaduna now, a hotbed of banditry now. Things are getting better, much, much better. I can say maybe 90% Kaduna state is good.
Yeah, we've seen it scale down, at least in southern Kaduna, but generally things are not as better as you would like to put it. Bandits.
Yes, you see, there are fault lines in Nigeria where...
If I may put my question so that I can put it together, just like omnibus it together. So first, banditry is on rampage. Right now, we've seen all the abductions and all the terrorist killings. And now Nigeria is a country of particular concern designated by the United States. There are back-end and backroom conversation as to wade off the onslaught from the United States against these terrorists and all of that. Nigerian government to wake up to its responsibility. And we've seen very terrible things done by bandits, killers, if you put it that way. But sometimes one wonders that when these things happen, as much as you say you are pushing to make sure that everybody is safe, everybody is happy, or we have peace, it feels to some people like you're more sympathetic to the perpetrators of this evil than to the victims themselves. Well, how do you respond to that, besides the thing?
I'll respond to that. You see, I'm a medical doctor. You see, when you have an emergency, you're only concerned about stopping the bleeding, not even the fractures and the other things, maintaining the cardiovascular potency. So I'm so much concerned about those people who are injuring people, killing people. Just imagine a madman in a market with a knife who has stabbed many people. So my first aim is to get that knife from that madman, not the people that are injured. I'm not a government, I'm not an authority to say that I can take care of everybody. My concern is that blood should stop flowing. And I've seen it because I've seen it firsthand, and this is the best way we can achieve this. And government have understood that. People have understood that, but I think for political reasons, I don't know why we Nigerians cannot come together and implement it. Some people say we have neglected the victims. We have not neglected the victims. The victims, they have an emergency management agencies that can take care of them. We have state governors. We have everything. They can take care of them. But these people that are outlaw, how do we use psychology? How do we use our knowledge of human sociology and interaction? How can we deviate them from these evils they have fallen into? Because we know them for a very long time, very, very long time. They are not what they are today. So what happened? You see, if you want to cure a disease, you have to go back and see the etiology. What causes the disease? But without diagnosing it, you will just be beating about the bush, and you never get a solution to that.
Well, Sheikh Gumi, I mean, for starters, just like my colleague mentioned, you know, I was also just going to mention, begin with the state of your mental health, because for every time your name is mentioned on the streets of social media, for instance, what follows it is missiles and attacks. So sometimes I wonder just how perhaps the state of your mental health is and all of that. But I would like to take you up on the words of U.S. Rep. John James speaking to the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He says, Nigeria is now the deadliest place to be a Christian. Says they are targeted, displaced, and killed simply for their faith. I'm not sure how he got the statistics or the numbers, but he says since 2019, nearly 17,000 Christians have been killed. And even this year as well, we have them in their numbers. You say that, you've also been quoted as saying that the US is only using these claims of a Christian genocide as an excuse to come into Nigeria. How do you marry the reality on ground, the numbers on ground, and the fact that your response is that the US is only using these Christian genocide allegations as an excuse to visit Nigeria, just as they did with Venezuela?
You see, if you want to use the same argument that Christians, this is the worst place for a Christian in the world, and that Christians are persecuted, if you plead the issue, and let's talk about the Muslims. So when you see the situation of Muslims, especially in the Southeast, even in the South, even in the Southwest, even in South where Muslims seems to be majority, there's a sort of persecution and suppression. So you see, and even in the North, when you see a lot of Muslims killed in their house and homes by these bandits, you can say then is the worst place for a person to be a Muslim in Nigeria. The same thing, it's a mirror image. But the issue is not that. The issue is that we have a clash that has gone bad. Well, how can we, as Nigerians, come together and cure it? We foreigners cannot cure our problem. They cannot even understand what is happening. You know, so when people see this conflict and make it a religious conflict, we just laugh because they lack the intelligence and the wisdom to tackle this problem. You see what happened in Benue, Plateau State, or in Southern Kaduna, or whatever thing. Yes, it's the same thing that is happening in Katsina, the same thing happening in Zamfara. The only difference is that here, the divide is between two different ethnic groups, but there is between herders and those who are sedentary. I won't say even Fulani Hausa, because you hardly see a Hausa man without a Fulani blood, or a Fulani without a Hausa blood. In fact, when you go to the bush, they're all speaking Hausa. They have turned into Hausas. So the only problem we have is there are fault lines where there are ethnic tribes that are indigenous in an area, and they are settlers, and they fight over resources. This is then how do we stop this bloodshed? Is to go there and see how we can amicably reconcile between them. You have a lot of Igbos, despite the agitation for a Biafran state. You have them in Abuja, you have them in Kaduna, you have them in Kano, everywhere doing their business fine. And the population are very happy with what they are providing the service. And you have houses everywhere. You go to Agege, you go to here in Lagos, you go to Ibadan, houses everywhere. Yorubas, you go to Maiduguri, doing their business. We Nigerians, we are united. Just go to the market. That's where you know there's unity between Nigerians. And we share the same military, we share the same police, we share the same politics. So I don't know what animosity. Why do we want a narrative that will give a foreigner that has once colonized us, in a sense, because all their origin is from one place, we know it. They went to America, colonized it, and Australia and other areas. So now, how can we give them a Nigeria on a platter of gold? Just like that to come up with us. Don't we have...
Okay, my apologies. You can land on your thoughts. Land on your thoughts, Sheikh.
So what we are saying, don't use this narrative that there is Christian genocide. No. Yes, there is genocide in Nigeria, or there is suppression or fight between ethnic groups. And this ethnic groups is irrespective of religion. We have seen that in even just the recent spread of kidnappings. It started in Kebbi. Kebbi, they are Muslims. All the girls were Muslims. But the narrative in the United States, at first they thought they are Christians. Then they are just suddenly shocked to find that, oh, they are Muslims. So you see, we should not give it a religious coloration.
All right,
you know, people do that to just get sympathy and support from outside.
All right, Sheikh, if I may comment, I think you're cherry-picking the issues. It's a complex conversation, and I think it's a fallacy of a straw man argument. So let's put it clearly. There is clearly genocide, as you've admitted. If the Christian enclave within which these things have happened, whether it's Barikiladi, Bango, Yellow Water, wherever you want to call, are saying people are killing us. It's a disservice and desecration to their memory to say, no, you're not being killed for your faith. They are targeted killings. So it's a complex mixed bag. There's also the economic angle, which you've mentioned as well. No, Sheikh, just hold on, just a moment, sir.
Okay.
There's also the economic angle, which you mentioned, that is around those ethnic narrative as well. Farmer head, people are just trying to survive. So it's a game of survival. There's that enclave as well. There's that element as well. Then there's also the bigger geopolitical element as well, where you are talking about the colonizer element. We can't dismiss that. And then there's pure criminality. So when we talk and begin to play down on the Christians who are saying we are being targeted, I think it's disservice. And Muslims are also killed. We cannot deny that. So sometimes also the fact that we shouting that we're being killed the most, perhaps, is the issue here. So my question is, let's look at the perpetrators, which you advocate for. Allow me to use the word. Do you think we should even be having a conversation with them, especially those who are killing and driving a genocidal agenda? We can maybe have a conversation around economic conversation.
Okay, first, I'm not advocating for them. I'm advocating for Nigeria so that we see how we can tackle this menace. Let me tell you, just now, children are kidnapped in Kebbi State. Then there's in Kwara. Then there's in this place. Bauchi is afraid. Yet, with such number of outlaws that can disorganize Nigeria, and you want a military that is trained to fight a guerrilla war, which even America could not even succeed in Afghanistan, even Israel cannot succeed in a small strip of land. A guerrilla war, our army is not designed for a guerrilla war. No army is designed for that. This kind of people we are showing now. No army is designed for it. So since we have people that are ready to put down their arms, then why do you always decide it has to be kinetic? Let me give you an example. Now, this Kanu that was imprisoned for terrorism, for agitating that our soldiers should be killed, if the same Kanu now will show remorse and also call for peace, honestly, I will be in the forefront in calling for his pardoning and amnesty for him. Look, Shagari, our president, we are from the same, actually, town, or in fact, related with Shagari. He gave amnesty to Ojukwu. Look at Omar Eradua. He gave amnesty to the military, the Niger Delta militants who have also committed acts of terrorism. So this is how we are. We are always looking for a way out. We have lost leaders. We have lost Sardona. We have lost Nat'l. And we are still asking for peace, for peace, for peace. If perchance any Muslim has in the past killed one single Nigerian leader who is not a Muslim, it will have been in the air every day. We will not forget about that. But we are people who forgive. So I want that to go into people's head. I'm advocating for Nigeria the best way out.
All right.
This is our interest. And we are victims of these victims.
Sheikh Gumi.
We had relatives in the army that were killed. Yes. We have relatives that were kidnapped. Even now, as I'm talking in Gumi local government, there's an attack by bandits there, because the Zamfara has refused to come into any agreement with them. But the Kaduna example, this is what I want people to understand. Without necessarily succumbing to their threat, you can develop peace. Our message is peace. So I am so surprised when Nigerians are saying they want to. Fighting is something you cannot predict its end. You can start it, but you cannot predict its end. So I want to preserve Nigerian unity. I don't want foreign intervention, and I don't want tribes to be fighting. Then also we don't want religion, the fire of religion to be ignited in Nigeria, because if it's ignited, who can quench it?
Well, Sheikh Gumi, so I'm not sure how long you've been advocating for Nigeria. Perhaps you can remind us how long you have been in this advocacy struggle.
If I wore the uniform to protect Nigeria, I'm a captain in the Nigerian army. And I've been going there. When I go there, I go with Nigerian officials. I don't go alone.
So do you think that the situation could have been worse, but for your non-kinetic approach drive?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Look at Abuja Kaduna Road. Now everybody can fly. You see, that's where we had the train mischap. But now it's free. It's free. Things are improving. I'm not saying it's 100%. There's there are incidences where it happened. But it's not the norm. Things are improving. Just give the government time and chance. But to be pressurized from outside, this is what we object. Our sovereignty is a red line. We can never accept foreigners to come into this Nigeria with whatever excuse it is. But you see, Nigeria, during he did one commission, Kaduna Peace Commission, and this Peace Commission gathered scholars from a Kaduna Peace family. We have even been to Southern Kaduna, we're in churches, meeting people, giving them hope. And we've met with Fulani settlers there to giving them hope. We have been doing this work for Kaduna State government during El-Rufai. It has tried in that angle.
So Sheikh,
so it's not.
Sheikh. So let's be clear on who you're talking with. On one hand, are you talking about bandits here, or you're talking about these evil ideological terrorists, so that we are clear on who you are saying we should have a conversation with? Because there are clearly people we cannot have a conversation with.
You as a journalist, you must have had these groups. If you have been following this, the Fulani herdsmen have been calling for peace, and when you call them for peace, they come. They come with their guns because for many reasons. But they come for peace. Can you call IPOB for peace? Can you call Boko Haram? Boko Haram, I think the former president has called them for peace and they came. But when they didn't materialize, now it's difficult to call them to peace. So anybody who inclined to peace, I'm with him. Anybody who inclines. I'm telling you, in Nnamdi Kanu now, if he inclines to stop the agitation, the violent agitations and killing of people, and he says he's going to pursue whatever dream he has peacefully, I will be in the forefront trying to see that this man is released, because I should be given an amnesty for despite the offenses and atrocities he has committed.
All right. Sheikh Gumi, for someone who, you know, some years ago you put on the military uniform, how do you feel when you hear stories around compromise and ambush? For instance, a brigadier general was killed some weeks ago. So how do you respond? How do you respond to some of that?
Immediately, look, Boko Haram, we know already there's an international interest group that is supporting them, giving them intelligence, in fact, giving them live locations, giving them mounted guns, anti-aircraft guns, stronger than our machine guns. We know they are sponsored from outside. So I'm not surprised if they can rout and kill a brigadier. They are supported. So now what we have to identify, who are the supporters internationally, and also the route from which weapons are given to them. Can you imagine a Hilux Toyota car, so many with them? How can they get it? But when you look at the herdsmen, they don't have such sophisticated weapons, the herdsmen, because they are already surrounded. But those in Sambisa, they have Cameroon. Things can come from Cameroon. People before they are suspecting France, but with the confession of a U.S. congressman that U.S. aid is used to sponsor some of the activities of Boko Haram, everything becomes clear. I don't know why you journalists, you don't really expatiate and go deep and see where confession is there. Boko Haram, we are not just fighting a ragtag army. We are fighting the world, an international world that is so greedy about our resources. Nigeria is a very rich, blessed country. Even for a president to call Nigeria disgraced, I think is part and parcel of the indignation that is trying to show that we are people who are not capable of protecting our nation, that we need a master to come and do it for us, and all this, all that, hiding behind a narrative which is every one of you knows its fault. We are not killing Christians, Christians are not killing Muslims. Yes, there are clashes where Muslims and Christians are on the both sides, and there are clashes where Muslims and Muslims are on different sides. So it's not religious.
That is the argument I would disagree with you on, with the greatest sense of respect. If people have said they are being killed for their faith, I will not sit here and say they are wrong. We may generalize it or may characterize it differently. But I think both of us can agree, all of us can agree to the point of saying military intervention coming in, we know how it ends. It may not actually end well. But when we are unable to secure ourselves and our people are not feeling safe, what option is left for the people in this sense? Now, with what is going on, do you think that we may get to a point where people may resort to self-help, Sheikh Gumi?
Well, I think now there is a really paradigm shift in our defense tactics. We are seeing that, yes, the kinetic approach is 25% and the rest is 75%. The 75% is what we are agitating the government to hasten and do it. Let's put Nigerians together and reconcile between Nigerians so that they stop the animosity of killing each other. All these people killing each other, they are really ignorant people. They are the low-class Nigerians. They are killing each other. So we should do with education we had. We are supposed to use it to separate Nigerians from killing each other. This is what we are supposed to do, and we can do it as Nigerians. Nigerians are the best educated people, even in the United States. You go to UK. And everywhere we're educated. Why don't you all come together, put our hands together with the government and see that we can tackle this problem rather than blowing things out of proportion and giving a narrative that will give a foreigner a chance to come into our beloved country and destroy it.
Sheikh, I see your...
Another factor is, even if you want a foreign assistance, for goodness sake, and they say those who come to equity should come with clean hands. You got somebody who has just some few days back have supported the genocide, which was condemned by all, meaning was condemned by the world itself. A genocide in Gaza. That same person, you're calling him to come and assist you in Nigeria.
Sheikh, as we begin to wind down, I'm sure my colleague has a question for you. My apologies, Sheikh. We're racing against time. My apologies, so that we can make sense of the conversation. My colleague wants to ask a question, but where I'm going to with this, let's forget about Trump for a moment. That's why I said I think somehow, apart from those who are constantly being killed, wherever help comes from, it's inconsequential to them. They just want to stop dying. And I think it's a fair thing to expect. They don't care who is coming to save them, whether it's America or whoever. So let's forget America for
okay, let me talk about that.
Just hold on, sir. Just hold on, sir. Just hold on, sir.
Wait. America is never coming to save them. They're just using them to write.
The Nigerian government is not protecting them enough. And then when you say they are fighting each other, who is fighting? Boko Haram, bandits are killing people. So what do you mean by who is fighting? What is this fighting?
What I'm telling you is Americans, when they come into Nigeria, they will make the situation worse. They are not going to make it any better. They have been anywhere, wherever they are, they make things worse. So Nigeria will not be different. But Nigeria is even more liable that they will make it worse because they want to balkanize Nigeria because of the resources. So even the person you are calling is even important. You see, when you bring a butcher to do a surgery, that is wrong. No matter how sick you are, you won't bring a butcher to say to do a surgery on you. So this is a point we have to understand. Yes, Nigerian government can do it. We have Christians in Nigerian government. We have Christians in the military. We have Christians all over the place, and they are not persecuted. So how can we use that as an excuse to bring in a colonist into our country? I thought your education really makes some people to feel self-confidence. Well, what I understand now, and I'm so surprised, some people who are supposed to be educated, you find that they have this inferiority complex towards these white colonist people. So I think, yes, the Christians have to be apprehensive, but look, you should know that you have representative. You have representative in government. Let's channel, just like what the Kaduna model did. We and Muslim clergy and Christian clergy come together, visiting these affected people.
Right, so,
we visited them.
Yes, Sheikh Gumi, so it does means that for these people that you say you're advocating for Nigeria, but you also try to reintegrate these people into the society. And we hear that some of them have joined the military. You're also calling for issues around education and unemployment. You've singled out those two as perhaps, the reasons why these people always take up arms. But our job here is also to ask you questions that the average Nigerian would like to ask you if they come in contact with you. So let me also ask you this. For the people who are in the correctional centers and prisons, for instance, if they also say, look, I committed so and so crime, I am sorry, are you also advocating that they should be released from the correctional centers?
And if we have criminals that have committed a crime, can we allow them to be pardoned, or what do you exactly know? Is it not just recently the president pardoned some criminals? Are you talking on that passion or what?
No, not just the presidential pardon. Just like you are also advocating that these bandits be reintegrated to the society. So I'm asking as well, for those who we have at the correctional centers or in the correctional centers, if they also say, look, I am sorry, I committed this crime, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I want peace, can they also be reintegrated into the society just the same way you're advocating for the bandits as well?
You see, if there is a communal clashes, is different from individual criminality. That's why when after the Civil War, atrocities were committed from both sides, and over 2 million people died, and yet the engineers were pardoned, and there was no victor and vanquished because it's communal. But if it's an individual killing an individual now, this law will come in and justice will take it off. But when communities are fighting, who are you going to judge? So now we're trying to stop bleeding. We want peace in Nigeria, in every area, wherever there is tension. Let's have Nigerians. The clergy, instead of putting fuel on fire, let's go there and see how we can unite the warring faction.
All right, Sheikh.
Rather than coming to a grave and start beating it and crying, everyone, Muslims can show you the graves of people they were massacred and killed too, but we don't do that. So that we have peace on the land.
All right, Sheikh. The argument would be some people say some Christians are more killed in one area than the other. Now, I think we can all agree that we all want peace. Everyone wants peace. But there cannot be peace or justice or healing without justice. And one of those justice has to be the truth. So when persons like you say there's no Christian genocide, that in itself turning logic on his head. Because you may just be narrating it around communal clash, either farmer crisis. There's an element that certain people they've doubled down to say we're being targeted because of our faith. We cannot discard that just because we want to spin it. So if we want to really solve this problem, Sheikh Gumi, since you're at the forefront, it's important you also agree that there is some form of Christian genocide in parts of the North. If we don't have that conversation, then I don't know where we're leaded to. But we must say,
if you say there is genocide that affects Christians and Muslims, nobody will argue with you.
Okay.
In fact, there's no place to argue. Genocide affecting Muslims and Christians. When you say there's a Christian genocide, and a genocide directed specifically because somebody is professing Christianity, there is none in Nigeria. There is none.
There is, Sheikh Gumi, there is.
My knowledge, as far as I know, there is none.
There is.
So you cannot force somebody to believe something.
Yes, I will not force you to accept it, but I will not dismiss and silence the voice of those who say that is their reality. But at the end of the day,
let's for argument's sake, believe there are some people who are targeting Christians and killing them. This is the work of the government to stop them from doing that.
Exactly.
And one of the ways to stop it is to get everybody, stakeholders in the issue, to come together. As I've told you several times and repeatedly, in Kaduna, a clergy of both Muslim and Christians have been going around to affected communities, Christians and Muslims. We have been sitting down with them.
All right.
Everybody bringing out his grievances. And we settled issues. So why can't we do it nationwide?
Okay. I think
inviting somebody whose hand is also stained with blood of children and women.
All right,
not
Sheikh.
In hundreds, in thousands.
Yes, Sheikh, we're totally out of time. I think we have gotten to a good place. I just wanted us to accept that everybody's reality cannot be dismissed. This is their reality, and if we want to help and bring peace, you and everybody who is involved in this journey, that's why we brought you, to also have your say. All sides must be heard. But we cannot just build it based on dismissing somebody's reality. That's why I was insisting that if that is their reality, don't dismiss it, rather address it. Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation around national security. It's a big one. Nigeria is having a lot of issues, and I think that's why we're having this roundtable, to see how, whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, whatever you believe in, let the killing stop. I think that's what we agree on, but we must not dismiss people's reality. We'll be back in a moment. Former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Dewan, joins us in just a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the program. Let's get now to our second conversation. We're joined by a former Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Honorable Gabriel Dewan, who joins us live now virtually from Jos. Thank you indeed, Honorable Dewan, for agreeing to talk to us here on the program. Perhaps we can get things started from our previous conversation with Islamic cleric and scholar Sheikh Ahmed Gumi. I wonder perhaps if you do have reactions to some of his perspectives. I mean, because you are a former speaker in Jos Plateau State, and that state has been under attacks, you know, for many, many years now. Honorable Dewan, you can go ahead and respond. Yes.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, listeners. I'm very grateful. It's a pleasure linking up with you people this morning. I will not want to x-ray Sheikh Gumi opinion much, because that is his opinion, but as a representative of the people, I have every right to say I am totally against his positions, because for over years now, Sheikh Gumi positions has been sympathetic to these blood-sucking bandits. I don't see reason today, with what Nigeria is passing through, for any patriotic citizen of Nigeria to be talking about negotiation, peace deals with people who are killing and maiming our communities and our country. You see, the danger of having peace deal with terrorists is, I had been making reference with Yaradua having peace deal with Niger Delta militants. So if you go by that, is trying to make it look like, okay, since there was a peace deal with Niger Delta militants, there must also be peace deal with these bandits. What are these bandits fighting for? I think that should be the question we should ask. Niger Delta militants, they make it clearly. They were fighting on the exploration of the oil in their own land. Perhaps they came on the round table, they discussed with the federal government, and they laid down their arms. What are the bandits fighting for? What are they after? What is their mission? In some instance, he was even talking about there is no single percentage of Nigerian budget allocated for the bandits. For crying out loud, are we in Banana Republic? We should allocate our national budget for bandits? Those who are coming to kill us? And they have told us time with that number that these people are not Nigerians. Yet the same Nigerians are saying we should allocate our own national budget for them. And from Plateau State, we know what we are passing through. And for me, I don't think that is a wise decision for Nigerian government.
All right, Honorable Dewan.
I'm totally against it, and I counter with all sincerity.
Yes. So you do not agree that this non-kinetic approach is working at all, because Sheikh believes it's working. It could have been worse without this non-kinetic approach, without reintegrating these people into the society. He believes that it could have been worse. The violence, the attacks, the kidnappings could have been more terrific than what we are experiencing now.
You see, to a large extent, I don't blame him, but I blame our Nigerian system. Because by now, he could have been under a security net for more investigation. We're talking about terrorists, for crying out loud. With connections, what is the relationship between him and any other negotiator with those bandits? Where did they used to meet? So people come and kill us, and you go and hold meeting with them, sitting down comfortably with their arms, and discuss with them and live peacefully? Are we in a serious country at all, Jeff? Are we serious in this country at all? Do you know what is scaring me the more? Not up to a week, a brigadier general was captured and executed, and look at the mood of the country as if nothing happens. And today, as representative of people, you want us to encourage our constituent to join Nigerian army? If a general, a one-star general, we're not talking of captain, lieutenant colonel, in fact, in a serious nation, and the military of that magnitude is being captured alive. Not as if he was killed on the gun battle. He was captured alive and executed. And look at the mood of the country. Everybody have go on with his normal businesses as if nothing happened. And someone will sit comfortably and talk about negotiation, peace deal. Oh my God! In a serious nation by now, it's could have been a full-blown war against these terrorists. We have not been talking about negotiating by now. When the brigadier general was captured, executed, by now we could have been seeing fighter jets going after these terrorists in the bush, bombing them, striking on them. For me, as a representative of the people, I'm totally against any peace deal with it. Make peace with terrorists. Which peace are you talking about? What are they fighting for? That is the first question. Let's ask them, what are they fighting for? What is their aim? What is their target? What have they been denied of in this country? Which of their birthright has been taken that they are fighting for?
Yes.
When we get that background, then we talk of peace. You wake up and, okay, today, I will wake up and form my own team, raise on arms against the Nigerian state, and turn back and say they should negotiate with us. Negotiate what? What am I fighting for?
All right, Honorable Dewan.
That should be the question.
Yes. So, so you perhaps you'd want to tell us if perhaps you believe there's a Christian genocide or not, because your governor, Mr. Caleb Muswang, on camera, not once, not twice, he believes there's a Christian genocide, and that's his position. And perhaps, does that represent the position of the state? Walk us through that. And then this issue of intervention or help. Now the Nigerian government says the US is going to support us with more intelligence and equipment and all of that. Do you believe we should get help from the US? Is that the kind of help for someone who comes from a state that has seen these attacks perhaps firsthand? Is that the kind of help that you and some of the residents in Plateau states were hoping for?
Well, to start with, I'm totally with my governor on the position of there is Christian genocide, even though, to be fair, for me, I believe that there is a general genocide. But when you look at it, they are into two different perspectives. If you look at the attacks going on in places like Plateau, Benue, Taraba, and so on, you have to agree that there is Christian genocide, because in some instances in my own state, the terrorists came and some of our own Christian brothers were saved by a Muslim imam. So you see, in that kind of scenario, it gives you a clear a reason to believe that of course, it's a religious genocide, since the Christians ran into the mosques and they were safe, they were not killed, they were protected by the imam. It means it has a religious correlation. But when you look at what is happening in places like Zamfara, Sokoto, KB, and others, of course, Muslims are being killed. But we in this part of the world, we are saying there's Christian genocide because of the method, how they operate, how these terrorists operate in our own areas. Of course, Christians are the target. But to share the sympathy of our own brothers from other states, for me, I can say that there is general genocide. But of course, as a plateau representative, I can tell you that in this part of the world, it's more of a religious, you have a religious correlation, since some of our people are being safe in the Muslim mosques. But if you look at how they are doing down in the other far north, you must agree that these are people who are after Nigerian state. That is my own belief. So to round it up, I'm totally in support of what my governor said. There is a genocide going on in this country, a massive one for that matter. Now, talking about help, is it a big deal for Nigerians today to seek for help with this present situation we're in? When we were growing up, we learned that our own forces were sent to Liberia, sent to so many other countries for peacekeeping. What were they there for? I believe it was to help those countries to restore peace in their countries. But you see, the problem here is that it seems like up to this moment, some Nigerians believe that Nigeria is at peace. That's one of our major problems, because we can only seek for help if you agree that we have problem. But it's very unfortunate that we're being economical with the truth. We are trying to be political correct, so we are denying the reality. If not, I see no reason why any leader or any representative of the people or any patriotic Nigerian will wake up today and say he's against the help to come and restore peace in this country. When you look at Donald Trump's statement, he didn't say he's coming after any religion. He's not coming after Christian. He's not coming after Muslim. He said he's coming after Islamic terrorists who are terrorizing Nigeria. So anybody who is against that statement, it means he is either a terrorist, or is a terrorist financier, or is a terrorist sympathizer. If not, the statement was very explicit that he is coming against the terrorists. That terrorist in bracket. So why are people crying? I'm fully in support of that help. For me.
All right, Honorable, so let's break it down even further with the time we have. So the back and forth I had with the Sheikh was to the fact that I said there's genocide against Christians, Muslim, but there's no Christian genocide, which is what I was debating with him, because the people that have been strongly standing and saying that, because it depends on where you're looking, as you've dichotomized it. That's why I mentioned Barikin Ladi, Bokos, Mangu, and Yelawata, all of those enclaves. So the truth is that we must identify everybody's complaint. The Muslims are being killed, the Christians are being killed, people are being killed all over the place. But some people are screaming more than the others, say, we're being targeted. We cannot silence that voice. I'm giving all of these illustrations to say that it's not just the genocide element, whether it's targeted at Christians or Muslims. There's also the economic and survival element, which we must not shy away from. That has to do with the farmer header crisis and all of this, whether land grabbing or whatever it is called. There's also pure criminality on one end. So when we break these things down as a representative of the people, because right now we're trying to solve problems to stop the killings. I think that's the end game everybody can agree on. We may not be able to use the same approach that we use for genocide perpetrators to the issue of economic survival. How do we dichotomize and save our people from getting killed, whether it's economic, genocidal, criminality, or otherwise?
Well, Jeff, you see, you have been explicit about your position. That is why you say I tell you before. We have different scenarios happening in this country. Like in Plateau, I make reference with what happened in Barikin Ladi some years back, where attacks came. They were after Christian communities, and they were safe. Over hundreds were safe when they ran into a mosque, and the imam protected them. that the same imam was awarded a federal honor in the villa, if you have not forgotten. But that doesn't mean that Muslims are not being killed. I am from Pangshin local government, under my federal constituency where Kanam is also located. Many people are being killed daily in Kanam, who are our Muslim brothers. You see, there are, for me, I believe that these terrorists operate into different dimensions. There are those with religious correlation, and there are those who are out more of kidnappers and armed robbers. How could I put it? Because in some instances, they kidnap people, they don't kill. In some areas, they kidnap and they bargain for ransom and they set them free. In some instances, they come and kill. They don't abduct anybody. They kill, they burn houses, destroy farmlands, and go away. So you see, they operate into different. They have different approach of operation. Like what happened in Yelwata. They didn't kidnap people. They came and kill, maim and destroy and go away. That is why in that kind of scenario, we said there is religious correlation. But of course, when it link with kidnapping, where they kidnap people and bargain for ransom, it happens everywhere. Nobody is spared. They kidnap Muslims, they kidnap Christians, they kidnap even security personnel. But you see, the problem we're having today is we must first accept that there is problem. There's security challenges. There's insecurity in the country. And look at what is happening. These things are happening not in borders areas. A state like Plateau State do not share border with any country. We're in the heartbeat of the country. But you begin to ask, which road these terrorists use to enter Plateau? What access road? And because we look at the weapons they are operating with, when you look at their method of operation, you begin to wonder, who is behind these people? Who is supporting these people? Who is bankrolling these people? Who is financing these people? In my state today, there are many villages, there are many hamlets that people were killed, and these Fulani bandits occupy those communities and they are staying there peacefully. Nobody is harassing them. Then you begin to ask, what is the aim? That is why we said there is genocide, land grabbing, they come and kill our people, occupied our lands. And when you look at what is happening in Barkin-Ladi and Bokas, most of those areas are areas where mining activities are taking place. Especially in the northern plateau. If you go to Wasi, that is in the southern plateau, mining, a lot of mining activities is taking place there. If you come to Bokas, come to Mongu, come to Barkin-Ladi, come to Riom, a lot of mining activities are taking place. And they will kill our people, occupy the lands, not as if they come and kill and go. In some of these communities, many communities, many villages will be ransacked, and sometimes they do not even burn the houses. When the people run away, they occupy the houses and they stay there comfortably and continue with the mining activities, with the farm produce. So anybody who will come up today and say that there's no genocide in this country, I think that person needs to be investigated. That person needs to tell us more, because as a plateau man, I can tell you that there is a conspiracy of silence by people that are supposed to speak, by people that are supposed to talk, by people that are supposed to protect our people. And one of the major problems with our own politics today is that everybody wants to be politically correct. Everybody wants to be seen as a saint. Nobody wants to talk. But when you come to politics today, everybody will be talking. I want this, I want, but I beg to ask. Who are the people that are going to vote us if our people are being killed day in, day out? Now, go to Northeast, go to Northwest, go to most of these states that people are being killed over. Do you care to ask yourself one question? On the day of election, how did they conduct election in all those areas peacefully? I think those are the questions which Nigerians should begin to ask. If these areas are no good areas now, how many during elections are conducted there, councillors are elected, local government chairmen are elected, House of Assembly members are elected, everybody is elected peacefully, then the electorate cannot sleep at peace. Bandits, terrorists should come and make peace with government officials.
All right.
Oh my God.
We have
to in this country at all.
Yes, I mean, you have raised really very pivotal and critical questions there, but we have to anchor at this point. It's also interesting because when you politicians get to apply for these jobs and want the people to vote for you, you always campaign that you can solve these problems, but when you get on board, the narrative changes. But we'll have to anchor at this point and leave it here. Indeed. Okay. All right, but just before we let you, let you go, you want to just a question from my colleague before we go.
Okay. Honorable, so as we speak right now, what form of, do you agree that Donald Trump should invade? And that's on one hand. The other part is, what form of urgency does a place like Plateau need from the federal government? If you can answer in 1 minute.
Okay. I am in total support that Donald Trump, not just Donald Trump, any international community or any foreign country that can assist us in solving this insecurity, I'm in total support. Lastly, for my state, Plateau, what we need from federal government is deployment of more indigenous trained security personnel, because some of the challenges we are facing these days, the securities always complain of terrain. They are not familiar with our terrain. Of course, we're in a very rocky and complicated, we have a complicated terrain. So if the situation is getting out of hand, instead of bringing foreign military trained personnel from other states that don't have any idea of our terrain and they get killed, bring some of our indigenous trained securities who are familiar with the terrain, mix them up so that they will guide the other securities on the terrain, the exit and the entrance of every community and every local government. That will help us checkmate some of the challenges that we're facing now. So my plea to the federal government is that send some of the commanders, some of the battalions, indigenous people who have the know-how of the entrance and the exit of each community and each local government in the state, and that will help us checkmate the excesses of the terrorists.
All right, we have to leave it here. Honorable Gabriel Dewan, former Speaker, Plateau State House of Assembly, thank you indeed for your time on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, this is the morning brief. We'll take a moment now and be back as we get to our final leg of the conversation. This time, the justice system gets our attention. We're back in just a moment. Please stay with us.
National security and the judiciary gets our attention right now on the program. Inibe Fiong is a legal practitioner. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Inibe, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you. Good to be with you.
So we've had two sides conversation. We've spoken with Sheikh Gumi, who is, some people have described him as a sympathizer, where he says he's not an advocate for bandits. He's an advocate for Nigeria. We've also heard from the Honorable member of the Plateau State House of Assembly, former Speaker, who said, yes, he believes there is genocide, but also Muslims are being killed. I think we can all agree on that as well. The whole idea is for everybody to stop being killed. But I relayed all of this to lead to the question of how should we proceed to begin to have some level of sanity in the system? On one hand, people like Sheikh Gumi are saying combat kinetic may not really solve the problem in the long run. We may get a short-term solution, but in the long run, will not solve the problem. But people like you were saying terrorists must go to court and be tried and sent to jail. How do we reconcile those parts?
Thank you. I think Sheikh Gumi has, I usually don't like elevating him so much, but he has been given some form of recognition by the government as the chief emissary of those who are inflicting terror on our country. He's not pretentious about the fact that he has been the most vociferous advocate of terrorists in Nigeria. And I say that without apology. He calls for dialogue. He calls for negotiation. He calls for pampering of murderers, killers, rapists, arsonists, people whose preoccupation is to decimate life, to destroy property, and to wreck communities. Now, I am very worried about the direction the country is going, about the way our institutions are treating this matter, the insecurity in the country, particularly in the northern part of the country. We have a country that is supposedly governed by laws. We have the Terrorism Prevention Act. We have the penal codes across the various states in the north. We have various penal legislations that have criminalized terror, criminalized murder, criminalized kidnapping, criminalized arson. We have agencies of government established by law to enforce these laws. Chief among them being the Nigeria Police Force. We have the State Security Service, which is supposed to be the domestic intelligence arm of the Nigerian security architecture. We have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. If you go further, we even have our armed forces. The Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy, and the Nigerian Army. And we have a judicial system that is supposed to try, prosecute, and where proven, convict persons who are inflicting this terror on the country. Across the 36 states and the FCT, we have high courts, state high courts. In Abuja, the FCT high courts. We have federal high courts with divisions spread across almost all the states in Nigeria. These courts have jurisdiction to try and prosecute terrorists. Guess what? We have a Federal Ministry of Justice headed by the Attorney General of the Federation. We liaison in almost all the states. At the state levels, we have ministries of justice in all the states, with prosecutors paid by government, both at the national and subnational level. So the issue is not absence of institutions. The problem is not inadequacy of prosecutorial capacity. It is not as if we do not have prosecutors in sufficient numbers to prosecute these terrorists. And I dare submit that the problem is not even that we do not have the manpower within the armed forces and the Nigerian security to stop these killings. My own assessment is that this terrorism has persisted, has festered, because we seem to be living in a country where either terrorists or terrorist sympathizers and financiers are the ones fighting terrorism. And that is why the terror has not ended. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, it looks as if the killings of fellow countrymen and women have become such a lucrative venture. So I am laying this background to say that from where I stand, I refuse, and I'm willing to stake anything on this, I refuse to accept the premise that the entire components of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Army, with formations across the country, is so weak, is so incompetent, is so directionless, is so inefficient, is so understaffed, to be held to ransom. What we have seen, government after government, particularly the 8 years, the disastrous years of the Buhari regime and the Tinubu dispensation, is that those who have the capacity, those in government, they do not appreciate the urgency of now. Because how do you explain the argument about non-kinetic strategy that the likes of Gumi and his co-travelers have been propagating? That, oh, the solution does not lie in bombing and killing them.
He says Southern Kaduna has produced that result.
How?
So that is his template.
What is the result that we have seen? What is the result? He should explain to us. Because I listened to the
scale of attacks, number of killings since this governor came in, because he was able to negotiate.
What is the strategy of the government?
Of the
governor? We had a former governor of that state. I've not seen that they have come to challenge him, Rufai, who declared on national, I'm not sure if it was your station, who just declared on national television a few days ago accusing the governor of paying 1 billion to terrorists. I don't know whether that is true, but this is what the former governor is saying. So are they telling us?
It was on this platform. I'm just wondering, perhaps if you can paint a picture of a failed state. And when you consider Nigeria, does it tick all of the boxes of what a representation of a failed state is?
Quite an interesting question. Has the Nigerian state failed? The question is, if the state standing? Is the state efficient? What are the indices to come to a conclusion that the state has failed? One, and very vital, is where the state has lost the monopoly of violence. The capacity to deploy force as an instrument for ensuring social cohesion. The Nigerian state has lost that. The second is where institutions are not working. I just laid the foundation of all the institutions that exist under our laws to address this mayhem. These institutions have failed. So where is the capacity of the Nigerian state for anybody to pretend, if at a minimum we do not want to agree that the state has failed, we should be able to agree that the Nigerian state is failing, and is failing at an accelerated rate. Because today, you have a commander-in-chief that is not even commanding Boy Scouts. You have a commander-in-chief whose words, whose orders are almost meaningless.
Would that be fair assessment of his role?
It is fair.
The president is doing what he can do.
What is he doing? He's welcoming the campees. He's celebrating governors who are transiting from PDP, from Labour Party, governors and lawmakers to the APC. That is what excites him. I have not seen that passion by this president to stop the killings. First, he has not visited the victims.
Yeah, but some argue that he had to boycott some international trips, you know, for that security meeting held, I think, on Saturday. He had to deploy the Minister of Defense to Kebbi State and all of that. Yes, he has not visited, but the Vice President visited Kebbi.
He has not visited.
But the Vice President was
the Vice President, the Commander-in-Chief. And when the Vice President went to Kebbi, what have they achieved? What have they achieved? Yesterday, announcement was made that, yesterday or 2 days ago, that this same president has ordered that policemen will be withdrawn from all VIPs in Nigeria so that policemen can be redirected to fight outward insecurity. As I was on your way to the station, I cannot count the number of convoys that I've seen policemen in their numbers accompanying VIPs. You have a president whose words are meaningless. They are deceiving us. This president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has no interest in stopping these killings. That is my assessment. I will never, I tell you, I will never accept that the Nigerian government does not have the capacity to stop these things. Because how many are they? Members of Boko Haram, members of ISWAP, and the so-called bandits who are actually terrorists. How many are there?
When you talk about the urgency of now and the ability of the state to come strong, what exactly are you saying? Because everybody seems to say wants something drastic to happen, but I don't think I've heard anybody say what that thing is. What is that thing you expect to happen?
You're not going to solve this problem. Well, history will vindicate the just, like I always say. But I don't see these killings. I don't see these endless, abominable atrocities being put to an end by the government going on its knees to bow before the terrorists. The
reason I'm asking that question, because you're a lawyer, and that's why we're bringing the legal angle. We haven't seen the much we can see in terms. Nnamdi Kanu was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on the 7-count charge. And then I think, I haven't seen the CTC of, I've read the Nnamdi Kanu CTC, but the one of an ISWAP leader that was sentenced to 20 years, perhaps an ideological terrorist. I haven't seen the CTC, so I don't know which counts gave him 20 years, because we know what the law says at the end of the day. Is there also a failure in prosecution successfully of terrorists to be able to deter them from being able to do what they do? Is that part of the failure?
Of course. Under Buhari, they told us they were going to publish names of sponsors of terror. If you are aware of this, you can fact-check me. Abubakar Malami, the Attorney General, said they had compiled a list of sponsors of terror. They never did. Tinubu has been president for 3 years going. He has not disclosed the name of a single financier of terrorism. I dare you to contradict me. That this government has not told Nigerians one person who has been found to be financing and supporting terrorism in Nigeria. You cannot kill a problem that you are not willing to diagnose. You cannot be accepting prescription from a doctor who is unwilling to diagnose you, who is unwilling to disclose to you what is responsible for the symptoms that you are experiencing. That is what is going on. You are not going to stop these killings when the government has failed to tell us how these terrorists are getting financed. The arms, look at the heavy weaponry that they are using to fight, to kill our soldiers. Where are they getting the arms from? It is either it comes in from the sea, from the air, or from land borders.
The reason, my question actually is, what in the law can we do to strengthen national security? Because you're a lawyer, so you need to give us that solution.
It is not paucity of laws. I want to be understood. You know, I laid a foundation, intentionally so. Nigeria has avalanche, plethora of legislations. Nigeria has institutions to implement these laws. What is lacking is the political will. The political will. Look at what Saudi Arabia did with terrorists. I am telling you this morning that 3 years going, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is unable to disclose to Nigerians a single person that is financing terrorism in our country. That is the beginning. The Ministry of Justice has not even come out plain to disclose to us the information at their disposal regarding, because if you are going to stop the problem, you must be willing to implement the law. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, who has now been convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment, we had agents of the State Security Service going to give evidence against him, even though in camera, that is in secret. And then they said, oh, this is what he had done. Now he has been convicted. I hear he's in Sokoto Custodial Center. Some form of judicial process, defendants of which some people have subjected to debate. But I'm saying, how come that when it comes to the terrorists or not, we only hear few cases? And why is the government unwilling to arrest them? Are you saying that? I listened to Bayo Nanuga on a sister station barely 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, explaining how the kidnapped victims in Eruku, in Kwara State, were rescued. You know what he said? He said the military and the State Security Service were in contact with them, that they called them and asked them to release the victims. Are we stupid in Nigeria?
I don't understand.
That is, he's claiming, I just watched the clip before I came on here, that the Nigerian military and the SSS, I mean the video is right online, I just watched it, called the terrorists and told them, release them, oh, let my people go. That if they did not do so, they would have known the repercussion. What does that tell you? It substantiates my position. That look, this government knows who the killers are. He said they know where they are, their coordinates. Are you saying that the SSS, that is so quick, that is so excited to locate people that are using accounts with not their, with their real identity, to track them, pick them up for criticizing government, like the man that they accused of calling for a coup, they were able to track him, locate him. Yet, terrorists that are slaughtering people, slitting their throats, they have TikTok accounts. They are competing with us on TikTok.
Right. Yes, I mean,
and the SSS is not able to track them.
Yeah.
Is unable to. I reject this premise. Yeah. I completely reject this premise as false.
I saw one of those videos as well, early hours of this morning, where terrorists on TikTok was, was boasting. So, is there something faulty about the system of governments that we practice? Because you have said it's the political will. But basic knowledge about the systems of government is that we have three arms.
Yes.
The executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. But now it looks as if this system that we practice, the legislative and the judiciary, which you represent, you are under the executive. In fact, you are the at the mercies of those in the other arm, which you're supposed to be at par with. And that's why we see perhaps some of us fall to these issues of governors buying houses or building houses for judges, buying cars for judges, because it looks like in the end,
yes,
they are all, you judges, or well, judges, as they say, eventually do not have a say. So is there something faulty as well about this system of government that we practice?
Before you indict judges for having a hand in the terrorism in Nigeria, the question is how many cases have even been taken to court? How many trials are going on? You see, I want us to have clarity of thought on this issue. Yes, the judiciary has a role to play. But the judiciary, the justice system is not a self-activating institution. Judges are not on their own going to prefer charges and issue summons on the government to bring the terrorists for trial. The charges have to be filed. And then the cases are assigned. The cases that are in court, the very few that they are even pretended or shown interest to take to court, trials are going on. Whether those trials are handled expeditiously not be a different thing. But I'm saying that today, if we are going to blame the judiciary, I don't think it's the bench. Maybe it's the Ministry of Justice. And don't forget that it is not only the federal government that can address this issue. Because let us also be sincere. At the state levels, murder is a state offense in Nigeria. Essentially. Kidnapping is also a state offense, except where the culprits are being tried under the Terrorism Prevention Act. How many terrorists in Kebbi State have the Kebbi State government shown interest to prosecute? What are they doing? What they are doing is that they are dining with them. We see officials of state government at the subnational level holding meetings with these insurgents. It beats my imagination that in a country like the politician from Plateau said, in a country that General Uba was killed, you saw how they executed him. A general. What does that speak to the morale of the men on the battlefield? It is reported that they even took his phone and ridiculed him. Do you know the amount of intelligence that is lost by that singular act of breach to national security? Yet, this non-kinetic nonsense they are telling us, I don't believe is efficient. Because when you arrest them when they strike in Borno, kidnap school children, and you go and pay them, because what is the non-kinetic? They now realize that, look, why can't they go to Kwara? You go to Kwara to rescue them, pay them ransom. Why can't they go to Kaduna? It has become an endless cycle. And what is the agitation about? All right. If they're saying that, like, mischief makers like Gumi are suggesting or insinuating, that the problem is that the terrorists have not been catered for, they have been abandoned. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. In my village, in my community, there are people that cannot afford 3 square meal or even a square meal. Even in the natural delta that is so rich, there are communities that are not motorable. So the problem of underdevelopment is a national problem. So let us stop excusing what is clearly an act of criminality. The federal government has the capacity, if it truly wants to address this matter, to deploy the required, and when they say non-kinetic, dialogue. I ask you, when are we going to dialogue with those in IDP camps? Millions of Nigerians are displaced. Nobody is calling for dialogue with them. No form of resettlement. Yeah. Where are the victims in this conversation? Let the federal government stop playing politics with terrorism. You cannot be dining with killers and expect that things will be normal.
Anyway, so of course, there's no way you're going to talk about these issues without passion, because as long as lives are lost, it's painful. As we said, whether we're talking with whoever, for the average Nigerian, yes, we're just tired of people dying. And this killing has to stop. But I think we also agree that it won't just happen. Yes. The state has to make it happen. And there has to be that willingness. Mos, thank you so much. There's a couple of other things we wanted to discuss with you. But time is totally not our friend today. Anybody Effiong is a legal practitioner and a rights activist. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's it on the program for today. Sunrise Daily is up at the top of the hour, and the prayer is that Nigeria will survive this storm. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeffrey Uzamo.
Well, thank you indeed for being on the other side of things. From Lagos, Nigeria, I am Kelly Egiga. Morning.